Record high, no comment. Record high on the Nasdaq today, Carol Massar, not necessarily for the S&P.
Yeah, a big kind of spread there with the Nasdaq 100 up 1.4% and the S&P 500 only up 0.3%.
It very much feels like we're in a waiting mode, right? I mean, we already know that the Fed is going to cut rates, but it's going to be this hawkish cut. So I guess it really all comes down to how they really put forward that hawkish cut. Will it be in the SEP? Will it be in the communications that Jay Powell gives during the press conference? Get ready. It's going to be exciting.
What is a hawkish cut? I keep hearing this.
I know. I feel like it's something that we all just made up and now we're all going with it.
No, it's legit. It's legit.
It's like you cut, but then you say basically it's a pause. It's basically the Wall Street Journal article from Nick Timmeros that said, we could be in the landscape now for a pause or an extended wait and see, and that would in theory be a hawkish cut.
No. Okay.
T-shirts are coming.
Emily, what do you think about this hawkish cut?
Yeah. I mean, they cut, but then they project in the dot plot that maybe there's not going to be a ton of cuts coming in the future. That would be a hawkish cut.
We trust the dot plot again? I forget where we are with this.
I don't trust any. I mean, look, there's like 20 drones flying over us right now that nobody can tell me anything about. Why am I supposed to trust the dot plot? The closing bells here in New York. The closing bells here in New York. And you got green on the screen and reason to clap and cheer. The Dow Jones Industrial Average going to sit this one out, though, down about 100 points or roughly about 2 to 0.3%. The S&P 500 falling short of a record high, but still firmly above 6,000, up 23 points or 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite and Nasdaq 100 each up more than 1% on the day, two record highs. The Nasdaq 100 up more than 300 points, up 1.5% on the day. And the Russell 2000, look at that, trying to get in on the action as well, up 0.6%.
All right, a little bit of a gain there. If you dig a little bit deeper into the S&P 500, and you've got a majority of names to the downside, 321 names in the S&P 500 losing ground on this Monday, Scarlet, and you've got 182 to the upside.
All right, let's take a look at the IMAP, which shows how the sectors performed on the day. You have 4 sectors in the green. Most of them are all in the tech sphere. So consumer discretionary, which includes, of course, automakers, retailers, and home builders, as well as Tesla, up 1.8%. Communication
is that a tech
services
company or not? Have we settled this?
No. I mean,
Yes
Elon Musk says it is. 1.3% gain for communication services, and tech as a group up 1%. And industrials just slipping up into the green. As for energy names, they were the big laggards here, and 21 out of 22 energy stocks declining. Texas Pacific Land is the outlier there.
All right, guys, don't judge me, but forgive me because my first gainer was a gainer earlier in the session. I know. Here I go.
What happened?
It was up 7%. MicroStrategy. I know you guys, everybody was talking about it earlier on TV. Quite a rally. Set to join the Nasdaq 100 index following the benchmark's latest rebalance, but it's finishing the day with like kind of a whimper, just a little bit lower. Call it unchanged on the day, down about 0.04%. So, yeah, so much for that. I will say that there have been analysts putting out some notes saying the inclusion of the first Bitcoin-focused company to the index will give indirect exposure to Bitcoin to millions of investors. This is from benchmark analyst Mark Palmer, but apparently not so much enthusiasm by the end of trading today. Micron Technology, though, holding on to its gains. Yay! This is a top gainer in both the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500, up 5.6% here at the close today. Reports earnings on Wednesday after the close, set to reveal its strongest adjusted earnings expansion in 7 years. Expansion plans in the cards, too. Keep in mind that Micron this week reached an agreement with the Biden administration to lock in almost $6.2 billion in federal subsidies. So protecting maybe that funding, even though we're going to see a change in the White House, of course, as Donald Trump and team come January. But Micron Technology, again, a standout. And Broadcom, its 2-day gain hitting 38%, adding $324 billion in market cap. So again, up another 11% today, hitting another record high. It's the top gainer in both the S&P and the Nasdaq 100, but this is just playing off of its earnings.
Can I just, since you only had 2 gainers, can I add one to your list here? The quantum computing stocks just on fire. Like quantum computing up 65%, D-Wave was up 44%, Rigetti was up a tremendous amount as well. Obviously, this has been in the zeitgeist for a while. And then drone makers as well. Our producer put this on my radar. Red Cat Holdings, which I guess is supposed to report earnings later tonight, it was up more than 20%, almost 30% on the day.
Do you want to do the decliners too, Romaine?
Oh, wow. Guest host throwing shade.
Okay. All right. Come on. I'm ready.
No, you go. You go, Emily.
Okay.
Done.
Looking at Ford, down as much as 4.9%. I have two single ticker decliners today. They cut their Jefferies cut its recommendation on the automaker to underperform from hold, citing broad concerns ranging from inventory overhang to looming strategic decisions on the company's European presence. Analysts over at Jefferies said that Ford faces many difficult decisions in upcoming quarters, including resizing, if not exiting Europe, and executing a yet-to-be-announced electrification strategy. I'm also looking at AT&T, that stock down as well. One of the many internet service providers down today after the Supreme Court declined an industry appeal to challenge a New York law that would cap broadband rates for low-income households. So TD Cowen summed this up. They said it's a setback for the telecom companies as the decision preserves states' abilities to regulate prices. We also saw Verizon and Comcast down. That stock down about 3.3%. And finally, more Nasdaq 100 news.
What are those broadband rates?
The rates right now?
Yeah.
How much? I'm not sure exactly how much you have to pay or what they wanted to cap.
Do you know?
Do you know, Romaine?
No, that's why I asked you, Emily Graffeo.
Oh my gosh.
This is payback now, Emily.
Yes, this is payback. I definitely deserve this, so I'm regretting my sass a couple minutes ago. But finally, finishing up, SMCI. Supermicrocomputer removed or will be removed from the Nasdaq 100 next week. That stock down 11%, down 60% over the last 6 months. Bad earnings among a lot of other concerns for this company. It's still in the S&P 500 though, but it will be removed from that tech index next week.
Guys, I'm looking at the bond market. It was a whole lot of nothing happening. But remember, this is after last week where you had that bear steepening, particularly in the back end. You saw a meaningful rise in the 10-year yield up by like 20, 25 basis points on the week. And today it was a whole lot of nothing. You have to wonder if we're going to see some positioning after the Fed and just sort of hold where we are into the Fed meeting on Wednesday.
All right, guys, we're going to get to some of the stories that are on our radar. This one is among the most read on the Bloomberg. I think it popped up just a little while ago. And it's basically coming from Morgan Stanley. And basically, they've got an offer for some SpaceX employees who own shares and want to maybe kind of cash in a little bit without losing those shares that have really soared in value. And this has to do, Emily, with their specialized lending program over at Morgan Stanley. Basically, they'll offer some loans.
Right. So to participate in this, the SpaceX employees need at least $500,000 worth of vested SpaceX stock. And this is according to people, I guess, familiar with the matter. And this is all coming after SpaceX is one of the most valuable companies, one of the most valuable private companies in the U.S. A share is now worth up to $185, up from $112 set in the prior valuation. So I guess a lot of employees wanting to tap into that, even if this isn't a public company. This article from Bloomberg News also said that the employees who don't want to part with their equity holdings can turn to margin loans for liquidity.
I wonder how many people qualify, because you need at least $500,000 worth of this vested SpaceX stock. Are we talking about like 400 people, or are we talking about 4 people?
Morgan Stanley and SpaceX not commenting.
Well, there was another report out saying that, I think to Scarlett's point, it is in the hundreds. But haven't we seen that a lot of this? Isn't this been one of the criticisms, is that you have a lot of private companies with these big valuations, and the only way for the employees to really sort of take advantage is through these loans. But of course, then that distorts a lot of things, such as the actual valuation. It distorts local taxes as well. So kind of interesting to see how this has become a big problem, given that these companies have not gone into the public domain.
And the companies don't need to, because they have plenty of funding options, right? I mean, it's no longer go public and expand.
Yeah.
There's plenty of private money to tap. All right, so guys, when we decide to create merch for Bloomberg Television or Bloomberg Business Week, we can now freely use Popeye or Tintin on our merch, because these two characters who first appeared in 1929, their intellectual properties are now public domain, or they will be on January 1st.
That goes back to 1929.
It does.
All right, yeah. So the Tintin, that's boring. I used to like this.
I
liked it. I know, I liked it when I was a kid,
but
Popeye was, that was like my jam when I was a kid.
No,
Tintin or
Popeye.
No, Tintin was the best, but I think they've been canceled because some of their comics Tintin did not hold well.
Oh, well,
they
there's a lot of racist stuff in there.
Their time,
but
yes.
Honestly, everything written back then is crazy. But yeah, I agree.
Okay, so with our show T-shirts, it's what?
So
Tintin battling Popeye.
But no spinach,
Wait,
right?
with Snowy.
No spinach, though, on Popeye. It's the early version of Popeye. So Romaine, I don't know. Are you a spinach kind of guy?
There's no spinach?
No, apparently it's the early version. Just like remember with.
You have to wait longer.
Wait, so wait, I didn't know. I didn't know the
with
story. So
Mickey
you're saying that
Mouse?
Popeye didn't always eat spinach?
Apparently not the early versions. I think. He
So where was
into
all that
ice
strength
cream
coming
and
from?
Chocolate and
Chocolate.
stuff like that. It's the
Oh,
pre-GLP-1
interesting.
Popeye.
Now I have to go back and watch. I mean, between Tintin, who apparently was a bigot, and now Popeye, who was on something other than spinach. I got a lot to learn.
Can we?
Well,
Rap?
maybe we
Can
don't want
please rap?
1929
Rap.
Popeye.
They're
or
telling you to
Tintin.
rap. You're not rapping.
I'm rapping. All right, that is a wrap. Our cross-platform radio,
Is Tim
TV,
back
YouTube,
tomorrow
Bloomberg
or what?
Originals.
Where is he?
I don't know. We're all gonna I don't know, do something. All right, we will
Okay.
see you. Some of us might see you again, same time, same
All right,
place
see you next
tomorrow.
year.
Goodbye.